We will now begin the forum with opening statements from each candidate, starting here in Ward 6. We're going to start with the candidate closest to me, and we'll go in that order, and we will ask you to hold all of your applause until all candidates have made their opening statement. So with that being said, Mr. Jim Waters, we're going to turn it over to you, and you have 90 seconds.
Thank you. Let me first thank the Surge Party organization for this candidate forum. I am Jim Waters, 244 South Fern Drive. We've lived at this address for 34 years. Virginia, my wife, and I have been married for 55 years. We have 2 children, Tammy and Terry. We have 3 wonderful granddaughters, Amanda, Alicia, and Sarah. All 3 completed high school right here in Hendersonville. We also have a great-grandson who's 13 weeks old. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I've been a member of the Hendersonville Citizen Police Academy Association for over 13 years. It's a volunteer organization. We have a new class starting at the end of this month. And if you're interested in joining and coming to the classes, please see me after the meeting. I am a member of Bible Baptist Church right here where we are tonight. In the private sector, we owned and operated an independent insurance adjusting company for some 17 years. I retired in 2008. As you may or may not know, I campaigned for this position in 2010. However, it was not to be. We came in second, losing by some 67 votes in a 3-person race. After the 2010 election, I was amazed and shocked at the phone calls and support I received, asking that I run again. I met so many wonderful people during the 2010 campaign. I am working as hard as I know how to win back those 67 votes and to let those who voted for me in 2010 know I need their support again this year. Thank you.
All right, and now, Mr. Jim Hoback.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. First of all, I'd like to thank Serge for inviting me. I am Alderman Jim Hoback. I've been a sitting alderman for 4 years. I've lived here for 38 years. I've been in my present address for 15 years. I've got 7 grandchildren, a beautiful wife for 38 years, and it's been a privilege to serve as an alderman in Ward 6. Thank you.
All righty. Well, we're going to go ahead and go to question 1. Remember, you have 90 seconds to answer each question. And since we started with Mr. Waters, we're going to go back to Mr. Hoback for this first one, and it's going to be on the budget. Building permits and home inspections peaked in 2005 and 06. And over the next 3 years, building permits and home inspections dropped by 50%. By the number of codes department employees, they remain the same, though, throughout those remaining years as they did in the peak years. In situations such as these, would you favor laying off city employees? Why or why not? Why or why not?
Well, first of all, it's not up to the alderman to lay anybody off. It's up to the CEO and the department heads. If it comes before us it's nothing that we can do about that. As an alderman, our job is ordinances and resolutions. I can't fire anybody unless the current CEO fires a department head, and they come back before the board of mayor and alderman to be reinstated, and then it takes 7 votes to put him back to work. That's up to the CEO of this city. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Jim?
Well, I agree with the opponent. We're not in a position to lay off anybody, employee. But let me address one situation. I think it's a marketing department that we've got to look to. You know, we look at the cities and the counties that are joining us, how they've grown and how they've multiplied in employees. Our marketing department is lacking in some degree. I don't know what it is. Do we need to look at it? Do we need to make changes? I don't know. But we need to start at the top and work down, not at the bottom and work up. Thank you.
All righty. Well, question 2, and that's going to be on debt and borrowing. Hendersonville has an annual budget of $33 million and a debt of approximately $14 million. Do you think this is a reasonable amount of debt for the city to hold? Why or why not? And of course, we're going to start right here with Mr. Jim Waters.
This is a twofold question to me. We talk about the budget and let's talk about the debt. My hat's off to our finance chairman. I believe last week he made a motion that was accepted on the board to refinance up to $7.3 million. And that's for current and future debt. I believe the chairman said that this would save the city some $340,000. That's amazing. I again believe we need to reach out and bring some large national corporate headquarter companies into our community. And that way we would build our base, our infrastructure. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Jim?
All right, will you repeat the question?
Yes, sir. Hendersonville has an annual budget of approximately $33 million and a debt of approximately $14 million. Do you think this is a reasonable amount of a debt for the city to hold? Why or why not?
Okay, I could disagree with the $14 million. After it was presented to us about the refinancing the bond, and I think it was $6 million and something that was refinanced. There's been $2 million paid on that debt, which brought the debt down to $9 million, and $1.2 million is coming in October that the board passed, and that will make the debt service at $11 million. The city cannot operate without, to help the infrastructure, drainage, street lighting, unless we borrow that money. That's the only way to work the budget. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right. Well, next is annexation. It's a simple one. What is the proper role of annexation? And we'll start again with Mr. Jim Hoback.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that question because I do not believe in annexing anybody into the city at this point because we can't take care of what we got. And I would never vote to annex anyone that don't want to be into the city. There's places we can't tell you. We got a police department and a fire department that's short-handed. None of them has had a raise in 8 years. A cost of living raise. They've had a merit raise. At some point, we got to stop somewhere, and we don't need to bring anybody else into the city.
Mr. Jim?
Thank you. That's a good question, Mr. Moderator. As I look back to March 2009, I'm reminded of the annex situation involving 70 acres fronting our bypass. We have to be very careful when talking about annexation. Is it the land in a subdivision, or is it just land, period? Now, if it's land if it's property, a subdivision adjoining our city, those people have the right to voice their vote whether they want to be brought into this city or not. It's not our responsibility to say we want you in here. I think it's their right. And you know, I have gone to several in this campaign on Drakes Creek Pike. Some are in the city, some are not. And those that's in the city from the previous annexation, they're not happy. Number one, because of their roads condition. They're terrible. And those that's outside the city, they're not going to come in. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is growth and safety. Well, people have watched areas like Madison and then Rivergate grow into desirable communities and have a lot of quality businesses. But over time, these communities have declined, and a few folks and few businesses find them not to be so desirable anymore. How can we ensure Hendersonville does not go down the same path?
Be sure they don't go down the same path as Rivergate.
How do we keep Hendersonville from turning into Rivergate?
Well, that's a hard question to answer, but let me just try to do this. A portion of Gallatin Road and Main Street, I believe we use stimulus money to beautify the median from Centerport into Hendersonville. Let's look at the inbound traffic coming from Rivergate. You're right. It's going down, but we're getting it out here. and some it's not desirable. We spent so much money on the medium at Centerport into Hendersonville. However, we didn't address the number one issue, and that's our old business people that's in Hendersonville. The solution I have, it will take a majority of the Beaumont eyes to be open and to realize we cannot continue to cater just to the new businesses, but we've got to recognize and think about the old businesses there, or we're going to be in the same shape that Rivergate is. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Jim?
I will pass on this question, sir.
All righty. Well, that brings us into the home stretch here with security. Do you believe the police and fire departments are an appropriate size and adequately funded, or would you suggest changes to these departments?
And no, they're not adequately funded, and they don't have enough people. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Waters?
Oh, thank you. Well, as I stated earlier, I'm a member of the Hendersonville Police Academy Association for 13 years. I know the police department like the back of my hand. We have a wonderful police department, and we have a wonderful chief. He's done a great job. Is it big enough? No. We need to grow. The fire department, we need to grow. What's it going to take? Is it going to take a tax of some degree? I don't know. I'm not an alderman yet, but those two departments are, in my opinion, they're doing a great job. And I can only speak for the police department because I'm associated with them. We have some great people. Thank you.
All right, now we're ready for.
I want to use this.
Oh, look at there! You can use your red card.
Oh, that's the last time I'm on need.
Yes, sir. That's strategy, folks.
He's right about one thing. We do have a wonderful police chief, and I don't think the to tax anybody would be the way to go, because the tax revenue is up, and sales tax is up. The economy has took a little bit of a swing and coming up. We do need to hire more police, and we do need more firefighters. But this time, we're going to have to live within our means for the next 4 years until this economy turns around. And that's all that can happen. Whether that I'm an alderman
Mr.
or not.
Jim?
Oh, excuse me. I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Well, we're now ready for our closing statements. You'll get 90 seconds each. Mr. Jim Waters hasn't used his red card yet, but we are going to start with the gentleman farthest from me, and that'll be Mr. Jim Hoback. You have 90 seconds for a close.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for having me once again. I'm gonna make this sweet and simple. I am going to run on my record, and I'll stand behind that record, of all the people that I have helped in Ward 6. We've got a lot done. And it's been a privilege to serve as Alderman of Ward 6. I will not promise you anything, but one thing I will promise, I'll keep doing the same thing I did for the last 4 years. Thank you.
And now Mr. Jim Waters.
We'll
just go full-blown 2 minutes.
I want to use my extra 30
All
seconds.
right.
That'll give me 2 minutes, and I still can't do it in 2 minutes because I'm a long-winded rascal. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I appreciate the questions. I'm in this alderman's race to win because I know I can make a difference in Ward 6. As stated, we have lived on Southburn Drive for over 34 years. We have seen no changes in our ward over the last 4 to 6 years, with the exception of, and I've counted each one of them, we've got 5 streets that got paved and 1 section of sidewalks. That's all in 4 years. Now you want to see some bad streets, I mean rough roads? Just look at Green Yard, Stop 30, Drake's Hill Court, West Bank Drive, and the west section of Southburn. So it's not what our mayor and aldermen have done for Ward 6, it's what they have not done for us. I would be embarrassed if I was an alderman to ride on these streets I just mentioned and then face these residents later on asking for their votes. These streets are terrible. Now let's talk about the real issue in Ward 6, and that's drainage. There's not a candidate here tonight, and I've looked around, that knows anything about the suffering, the fear, the heartaches, the loss of personal belongings that we on South Bern, Saveley Court, Grapevine, and other streets adjoining us have been through over the last 10 years. They say, we know how you feel. No, you don't, unless you've been through it.
You still have 30 seconds.
Put that down. We have argued with the board over the last several years about this creek, which I call the monster, that runs along the streets I just mentioned. Each year, the same old answer, no money. Well, guess what? We have now secured some bond money, with some of it going towards our drainage problem. Could it be? Yep. It's election time. If you have kept up with the mayor and alderman's meetings lately, you know they've passed a resolution, 2012-16.
Mr. Jim.
Just last month, authorized the assurance of the bond not to exceed $1.2 million. And it was in the paper last week.
Mr. Jim, you're going to get me in lots of trouble.
Pardon me?
So you're going to get me in lots of trouble.
I can't even fill up my car in 2 minutes. I don't see how you...
I understand.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.